I'm the child of one of those traveling RV families that share their lives online, and I resent them more and more every day. My parents decided when I was only around 7 years old, far too young to get an opinion on anything, to pack us up and move into an RV to travel around the US. My dad works online and my mom makes content online. She's not huge by any means, but big enough that we get recognized sometimes, and big enough that I've had a camera shoved in my face for as long as I can remember. For my privacy's sake, I won't say anything else on that. And I'm using a throwaway account because I've gotten enough attention already, and I'm sick of it. I sleep in a tiny bunk bed that I outgrew years ago, and the other bunk is the only space I have to put anything I own. I don't even have a room, just a curtain, and thank God I'm an only child, or else I would have to share the small space I have already. I was homeschooled for most of my education, and then switched to online school at my own insistence for high school. I'm an 18-year-old girl. I don't have a single friend in person, because the longest I've ever stayed anywhere is a month. I don't have a job and no way to get one, because of not being stationary unless I find one online, which also mean I have no way to move out and get away from them. I've had conversations with them about all of this countless times, and they are so delusional and genuinely believe that a nomadic existence is the best way to live, so why would I never need anything else? I hate them for treating me like some pet they can just drag along in their plans rather than their child. I hate traveling. I don't like heat. I hate dealing with bugs, and I'm so sick of hiking. I can't wait for the day that I finally figure out a way to get away from them with their morning's hikes and cameras in my face. I've traveled around the US, yeah, but God forbid I want to have a normal life, go to college, or maybe even make some friends? That's asking too much. Comments. Comment 1. I am so glad that she didn't give more details. Honestly, the response to my life is completely open to people online, and I have no identity, should not have been. Tell us who you are. Good for her for making this leap, and I hope everything stays happy and healthy for her. Comment 2. My mom and sister love that stuff. Gross. I'm not about to tell two grown women what they can and cannot do, but I hate that they give these people views and support. Mom has particularly been into random homesteaders lately. A lot of these people are freaking dangerous, giving babies raw milk and stuff, but mom still watches them and believes they're bullshit. Granted, mom and sister also love TLC shows, and used to watch 19 Kids and Counting until Josh's Crimes came out, despite the rest of the family talking about how goddamn creepy the Duggars were. They see that in hindsight, but then keep watching family influencers and crap that are just as gross and exploitative. Update. Hello, barely over a week ago I made a post talking about my very negative experience living in an RV with my parents for around 10 years now. Despite it being such a short time since I've posted it, a lot has changed for me since then. I don't know how many people here would be interested in an update on my situation, but I know quite a few people were very concerned and would probably appreciate an update, so here it is. Also, fair warning, this is a fairly lengthy post. I have a tendency to ramble, so there is sort of a TLDR at the end. I had a lot of people give me really helpful advice, resources, as well as even offers to try to help personally, some being questionable admittedly, but a majority being genuinely concerned, wanting to try to help, and I very much appreciate that. It was slightly overwhelming, to be honest, and I ended up not responding to a lot of people, so you'll all have to forgive me for that. But even if I didn't respond much, I have been doing research on a lot of the information people gave me. Something that stood out to me was people asking if I had any family I could stay with, to which I had to respond, not that I know of, because I don't have anyone on my dad's side of the family, and my mom, strictly no contact with her family. I did not know if they were alive, if they cut her off, if she cut them off, or even any details about them, and my mom had never wanted to talk about it. What information I did have was my mom's maiden name, which is pretty uncommon, and where she was born, which in terms of trying to find family can actually get you surprisingly far, I've come to realize. I've always had a slight hatred for the internet because I never had any choice in my life being public knowledge, and I know that once something is out there, it's out there. But for the first time, I'm actually really grateful for the internet. I was able to find some information on my mother's side of the family, and specifically was able to find my grandma's Facebook account, though it did take me some effort. After a lot of stressing on how to approach messaging her, if I even should, as well as potential outcomes, I messaged her explaining my mom's life, who I was, and my situation. I won't go into details onto why my grandma and my mom are no contact, because that is not my story to share, but my grandma was appalled that she has a granddaughter she didn't even know about, and even more so the way in which her daughter raised me. I found out I have an aunt and an uncle, both of which my grandma told them about me and my situation. I've been in pretty much constant contact with all of them since just learning about each other. All of them want to help me get out of this living situation with my parents, and luckily with me being 18 now, it's actually possible. Again, I don't feel entirely comfortable going into details, but I have arrangements to go stay with my aunt, who lives in a big city on the West Coast that had a lot of potential opportunities for me to start college or whatever I see fit, which I do plan on figuring out college, happy to announce. My uncle has kids, but my aunt lives on her own and has a spare bedroom which she has no problem letting me stay in for as long as necessary. I have a train ticket scheduled and purchased by my aunt, and enough money to get to the station. I'm talking with my family. Still feels weird to type currently and trying to plan out the details, like how, or if I'm going to tell my parents. My mom doesn't know any information on where any of her family lives, so even if I were to tell my parents who I'm going to live with, they wouldn't know where I was specifically. Someone pointed out that if I did leave without telling them, I should leave a note or some form of proof that I left willingly, so if I do opt out of a conversation, I'm planning on either leaving a note or filming a video explaining my plans and why I'm leaving, which would be kind of ironic. Wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? Regarding my mom filming, I've been very quiet around my parents and just refusing to talk when the camera's on, but neither one of them has mentioned it yet so far, luckily. Also, speaking of my mom's content, I would like to very much emphasize something quickly. Almost everyone was genuinely trying to help, but I had a few people replying trying to guess who I was. Luckily, the few I saw were basically torn to shreds and ended up deleting their comments. I also had a few people who messaged me privately trying to make a guess at who I am, which at least that's not public, I guess. Although I can understand being curious, I posted anonymously with very little personal information for a reason. As I stated in my previous post, I have gotten enough attention, and I'm very much sick of it. I would very much appreciate it if you guys can respect that. Even if you think you might know who I am, please don't make public guesses, and understand that I don't want this to be even more public information tied to my name. Very long story short, I have set plans to leave as well as a safe place to go with my aunt, once I do, and very much appreciate so people for being so willing to help. If you had told me not even 2 weeks ago that not only do I have a plan to move away from my parents but contact with family members I didn't even know existed, I don't think I would have believed it. I'm currently not planning on making another post updating this, but wanted to let anyone who is concerned about me to not worry. Genuinely thank you. New update. Hello, it's been a while and I wanted to check in on here to hopefully give a few people some peace of mind. In my last update, I explained that I had gotten in contact with my mother's side of the family and had a place to go stay. I can proudly announce that I did it, and am in a safe place now, totally away from my parents with absolutely zero contact. My aunt is an absolute angel, truly. She's so kind, and that's not even including my grandma and uncle. When I first got here, my aunt, as well as my grandma, took me out on a little shopping spree. Bought me clothes, decor and furniture for my room, because I have one of those now, and honestly anything they thought I would need. My uncle has introduced me to my cousins. He has a younger son and a daughter who's very close in age to me, and I would say that we have become friends. I've been able to go out and do a lot of fun little things with her. My aunt is currently helping me research colleges near us, but has reassured me I can do everything at my own pace and there really is no rush, that her home will always have a spot for me. My aunt in general is such a cool person. She's someone I very quickly have started to look up to and have gotten close to. The more time we spend together, the more we learn that we actually have a lot in common. I'm just so grateful to all of them for being here and being so supportive. My aunt is also really helping me figure out who I am as an individual. For the first time, I'm in charge of my identity, what I share, and who I share it with. I dyed and cut my hair, got a nickname, and have been exclusively going by it. My cousin is currently on journey to help me learn about what makeup I like. She's also introducing me to her favorite music groups as a self-proclaimed cringe but free K-pop fan. I have an entirely private Instagram account with all of 5 followers and I plan on keeping it that way. I just feel like a normal teenage girl for once, and I've never felt happier. When I look in the mirror or just think about my life in general, I'm actually happy with it. I guess never realized that I wasn't comfortable in my identity as a person. Because honestly, I had bigger things to worry about. This is all more than I could have ever imagined, and honestly I have a hard time even processing it sometimes. I am officially in therapy though, so maybe I can start working that as well as processing my past, and how it plays into my identity in the future. My new therapist is actually the part of the reason I'm making this update. She thinks that posting this could be a good way to get closure to a certain extent. As sort of a way of acknowledging what I went through but also moving on into my new life, because I have my whole future ahead of me, one that I am very excited to experience. So keeping that in mind, this will be my final update on here. I want to be able to enjoy my life and future while keeping my privacy. A lot of people really wanted me to share my story more, expose my past, but at least for now I've decided against that. It's my story and I can choose to share it or not. For once I have control over who gets to know what information about me, and I'm not willing to give that up yet. but I suppose I don't know what the future holds. So I'm asking as nicely as possible that people please respect that. I absolutely appreciate the support and advice so many have given me, and just know I'm safe. I can honestly say that I'm happy. I'm planning out my future, what I want to do with my life and who I am beside just a persona on camera. So thank you so much for everything, and goodbye. Now, for the next story. WIBTA for considering divorce after my wife expressed a desire to send our son to a conversion therapy camp. My wife 44F and I 45M have been married for 14 years. We have 2 kids, a 16-year-old son, let's call him Noah, and a 12-year-old daughter. We've had our fair share of disagreements over the years but things have generally been smooth between us. Now for the context, Noah came out as gay about a year ago. It was a surprise, and as hard as it was to accept, I love my kids more than anything and just want their happiness. My wife visibly didn't take it well though. She was upset and seemed to go through a grieving period where she didn't really talk about it. I tried to support Noah in every way I could, telling him that I loved him no matter what it said. My wife though, I could tell she wasn't on the same page. She would say things like this is just a phase, or he needs help, but I brushed it off as her needing time. Fast forward to last week, and we were having a conversation about Noah's future. Out of nowhere, my wife casually mentions that she's been looking into conversion therapy camps and thinks it might be the right solution. She said that Noah isn't truly gay, that he just hasn't been shown the right path, and that this could fix him. My blood ran cold. I was in shock. I immediately told her I didn't agree, and that this was not something I could support. She got upset and said I was enabling Noah's confusion, and that if I really cared about him, I would help him get better. WTF is wrong with her? She was persistent. And no matter how much I tried to explain that conversion therapy is harmful, like I know those kids get abused, and often end up either traumatized or killing themselves, and that I would never send our son to something like that, she wouldn't back down. If I'm being 100% honest, I don't even think I love her anymore. The fact she could be so heartless disgusts me. I know being gay is not easy and people like her just make it even harder. I'm considering staying, only for our daughter's sake, but would it be okay if it means hurting my son? It feels like a betrayal to Noah. I just don't think I can keep living with someone who thinks this is okay. Comments. Comment 1. Look, hot take. It's a shame that they got hurt. But at least it was a minor and controlled event that basically gave up the winning play Sue and charged the hell out of the toxin. God, I want to give up a hug. He's dad goals, and the world would be a better place if more kids had parents like him. Comment 2. This is just wild. It's hard to imagine a mother being so hateful to her child for something he can't control. But here we are. Totally glad that the children have their father, who is a really great dad. Update 1. So first of all, I'd like to thank everyone here for all the help and advice I've gotten under my post and in DMs. Sorry if I couldn't answer to everyone, there was just too many fucking people, lol. So I posted something about my wife wanting to send my son to a conversion camp 2 days ago. First of all, some people told me to show her videos and documentaries about what happens there. But this argument has been ongoing for more than a week now. I've showed her things and she won't budge. Really bad update if I can be honest, so let's get into it. All of you told me to try to get him out ASAP. You all were definitely right, so yesterday I took the day off and went to see an attorney just to get some info about divorce, etc. But after what happened, I'm 100% sure I want a divorce ASAP. Yesterday I went to pick Noah at his school, and as many of you suggested, we had a long discussion. I basically told him his mom and I may be getting a divorce, because she wants to send him to a conversion camp, but I can't accept that. I've talked with her many times and I told him I'll probably go through with it. He looked really hurt, my heart broke all over again, but was very understanding and thanked me for standing up for him. I pulled him into a tight hug and told him I'll always love him no matter what, and that nothing's his fault. At that moment he started crying because he was so glad at least I was on his side. And I'm very pissed, so sorry if I don't make sense, but apparently his mom had been pressuring him for months. She planned dates with girls to try and fix him, and he had to lie by saying he was going at a friend's instead. She was saying he needs help, and as much as she loves him, he needs to get his condition cured, etc. I feel so bad because I've been so oblivious to all that and I've failed to protect him for all that time. How do you make your 16-year-old son go through that? So when we got home yesterday, I can't lie, I was furious and confronted her right there and then. At first she was trying to explain she was doing it for him, but her speech quickly turned to slurs, and it was clear she was just ashamed of having a gay son. In the end I told her I went to see an attorney, and that learning all that just confirmed that I want a divorce. She got really angry, calling me a delusional disgrace. We argued a lot, and at some point Noah tried to separate us, but my wife punched him multiple times. She was saying disgusting things like he is a dirty, and that it's all his fault we're getting divorced because his filth corrupted me. My daughter, who was probe in her room, came to see what all that commotion was about, and was rightfully horrified, and quickly called 911 when I told her to. Long story short, the cops got there and took her away. She was very reluctant to go, because she was not in the wrong and they needed to let her go. I explained everything to my daughter and she doesn't want anything to do with her mom anymore. RN, I'm in the hospital because my ex-wife broke my rib while I was restraining her. I should have probably went as soon as the cops took her, but IDC, my son was crying. With a black eye and split lip, they are checking for any concussion, and obviously the only thing I cared about was to comfort him, because I can't even imagine what it can feel like being beaten by your mom for being gay. I'm planning to file for full custody and my kids don't want to see her ever again anyway. Given all the charges she's facing, I hope she won't stand a chance against me. I just sent a mail to my attorney and I hope the procedures will be fast. I've also thought of getting CPS involved, but I'm not sure they will really help. Like, I cannot understand how you can grow so resentful of your own kid because of something they can't control. Even I had pretty strong opinions about it, but as a father it is my role to unconditionally love my kids, and so I learned about the topic and changed my way of seeing the world for him. It took some time grasping it, but I never doubted one sec the love I have for my child. I thought it was the same for my wife. Visibly not. New update. Night. So a little over 2 weeks ago, I posted about my ex-wife putting both my son and me in the hospital, because he is gay. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for the support and advice we've received. The kind words were overwhelming. To all the trolls saying this is fake, God knows I wish it was. Maybe I didn't make much sense because I was extremely shaken, so I apologize if that's the case. Now for the update. It's been difficult ever since, but don't worry, this is not a bad update. First of all, I was able to get an emergency custody order. I'm very relieved because many of you warned me about how people can have their kids forcefully taken by those conversion camps. And I'm relieved that she can't do that anymore. I'm still overly anxious and only leave my son alone when he's at school. I've instructed all the teachers to make sure no one but me approaches him. Thank God my boss has been understanding on the matter. I've been granted the exclusive use of our house as well, so I've changed the locks and installed security cameras. Many friends and family members from my side, of course, have been visiting often, to give us both emotional support and safety. Many of you also advised me to document every injury that my son and I sustained. Fortunately, my son didn't suffer a concussion, so I took plenty of pictures and gave them to my lawyer. And she has also taken my son's and my daughter's testimony. Given all the charges my wife is facing: child abuse, both physically and emotionally, neglect, endangerment, assault and battery, hate crime, and domestic violence. Yeah, it doesn't look very good for her. Our lawyer is confident that I will 100% be granted full custody. She also said that it's likely Stable's attorney will recommend that she gives up her parental rights, given the overwhelming evidence against her. Also, it's very likely that my son and I, possibly even my daughter if she asks for it, will be granted a restraining order against her. My lawyer has told me CPS involvement will only strengthen my case, as they are thoroughly investigating everything. While we're still waiting to get the court date, I am feeling highly confident and relieved for the first time since all that shit happened. I've gathered tons of overwhelming evidence against the toxin thanks to that person who came up with that name. I'll keep everyone updated, and thank you again for all the advice and support my kids and I have received. I honestly don't know how I could have gotten through this without all of you. You all just saved a family. Be proud.